The Queen of Sheba visits Solomon. When the Queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon and his relationship to the Lord, she came to test Solomon with a hard question. Arriving at Jerusalem with a very great caravan with camels carrying species. Large quantity of gold and precious stones. She came to Solomon had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. When the queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and the palace he had built, the food on his table, the sitting of his officials, and attending servants in their robes, his cupbearers, and burnt offering he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half else told me. In wisdom and mercy you have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be, how happy your officers, who continually stand before you and hear you wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed on the throne of Israel. Because of the Lord's eternal love for Israel, he was made for you king to maintain justice and righteousness. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of species and precious stone. Never again were so many species brought in as those the question of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Hiram's ships brought gold from Ophir, and from the day brought great cargoes of almug wood and precious stone. The king used the almug wood to make suppers for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. So much almug wood has never been imported to Sin since that day. King Solomon, the Queen Sheba, all she desired and asked for beside that he had given her out of his royal boundary. Then she left and returned with her retinue to her own country. Solomon's splendor. The weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly was 666 talents, that included the revenues for merchants and traders, and from all the Arabian king or the governor of the territories. King Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 600 shekels of gold went into each shield. He also made 300 small shields of hammered gold with 3 minas of gold in each shield. The king put them in the palace of the forest of Lebanon. Then the king made a great throne covered with ivory and overlaid with fine gold. Then the throne had 6 steps, and its back had a rounded top. On both sides of the seat were armrests, like with a lion standing beside each of them. 12 lions stood on 6 steps, one at either end of each step. Nothing like it had ever been made for any other kingdoms. All King Solomon's goblets were gold, and all the household articles in the palace of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Nothing was made of silver, because silver was considered of little value in Solomon's day. The king had a fleet of trading ships at sea, along with the ships of Hiram. Once every 3 years it returned carrying gold, silver, and ivory, and apes and barbons. King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. The whole world sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God put in his heart. Year after year, everyone who came brought a gift, articles of silver and gold, robes, weapons, and species, and horses and mules. Solomon accumulated chariots and horses. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horses, which he kept in the chariot cities, and also hid him in Jerusalem. The king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stone, and cedar as plentiful as sycamore fig tree. In the foothills, Solomon's horses were imported from Egypt and from Kue. The royal merchants purchased from them from Kue at the current place. They imported a chariot from Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and a hold for 150. They also exported them to all the king of the Hittites and of the Arameans, Solomon's wives. The King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter. Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonites, Sidonians, and Hittites. They were from nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, "You must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods." Nevertheless, Solomon has passed to them in love. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. He followed Ashtoreth, the goddess, the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. So Solomon did evil the in the eye of the Lord. He did not follow the Lord completely as David his father had done. The hill east of Jerusalem, Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the detestable god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. He did the same for all his foreign wives, who burned incense and offered sacrifice to their gods. The Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice. Although he had forbidden Solomon to follow other gods, Solomon did not keep the Lord's command. So the Lord said to Solomon, "Since this is your attitude, and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Nevertheless, for the sake of David your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of the hand of your son. Yet I will not tear the whole kingdom from him, but will give him one tribe for the sake of David my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen." Solomon's adversaries. Then the Lord raised up against Solomon an adversary, Hadad at the Edomites from the royal line of Edom. Earlier, when David was fighting with Edom, Joab, the commander of the army who had gone up to bury the dead, had struck down all the men in Edom. Joab and all the Israelites stayed there for 6 months until they had destroyed all the men in Edom. But Hadad, still only a boy, fled Egypt with some Edomite officials who had served his father. They set out from Midian and went to Pharaoh, taking people from Pharaoh with them. They went to Egypt to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who gave Hadad a house and land and provided him with food. Pharaoh was so pleased with Hadad that he gave him a sister of his own wife, Queen Tahpenhes, in marriage. The sister of Tahpenhes bore him a son named Genubas, whom Tahpenhes bring up in the royal palace. There Genubas lived with Pharaoh's own child. While he was in Egypt, heard that David rested with his ancestor and that Joab, the commander of the army, was also dead. Then Hadad said to Pharaoh, "Let me go, that I may return to my own country." "What have you wrecked here? Then you won't go back to your own country?" Pharaoh asked. "Nothing," Hadad replied, "but do let me go." And God raised up against Solomon another adversary, Rezon, son of Elida, who had fled from his master, Hadadezer, king of Jobah. When David destroyed Jobah's army, Rezon gathered a band of men around him and became their leader. They went to Damascus, where they settled and took control. Rezon was his Israel adversary as long as Solomon lived, adding to the trouble caused by Hadad. By Rezon ruled in Aram and was hostile toward Israel. Jeroboam rebelled against Solomon. So also Jeroboam, son of Nebat, rebelled against the king. He was one of the Solomon's officials and Ephraimite from Zeradah, and his mother was a widow named Zeruah. Here is the account of how he rebelled against the king. Solomon had built the terraces, and he filled in the gap in the wall of the city of David his father. Now Jeroboam was a man of standing, and when Solomon saw how well the young man did his work, he put him in charge of the home labor force of the tribe of Joseph. About that time, Jeroboam was doing out of Jerusalem, and Ahijah the prophet of Shiloh met him on the way. Wearing the new cloak, the two of them were alone out of the country, and Ahijah took hold of the new cloaks he was wearing and tore it into 12 pieces. Then he said to Jeroboam, "Take 10 pieces for yourself, for this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says, See, I am going to tear the kingdom out of Solomon's hands and give you 10 tribes. But for the sake of my servant David and the city of Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, he will have one tribe. I will do this because they have forsaken me and worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moabites, and Molech, the god of Ammonites, and have not worked in obedience to me, nor done what is right in my eyes, nor kept my decrees and laws as David or Solomon's fathers did. But I will not take the whole kingdom out of Solomon's hands. I have made him ruler, and the day of his life for the sake of David my servant, whom I chose and who obeyed my commands and decrees. I will take the kingdom from his son's hands and give you 10 tribes. I will give one tribe to his son, so that David my servant may always have a lamp before me in Jerusalem, the city where I choose to put my names. However, as for you, I will take you, and you will rule over all that your heart desires. You will be king over Israel if you do whatever I commanded you and work in obedience to me and do what is right in my eyes by obeying the decrees and commands. As David my servant did, I will be with you. I will build you the dynasty as enduring as the one I built for David, and will give Israel to you. I will humble David's descendants because of this, but not forever. Solomon tried to kill Jeroboam, but Jeroboam fled to Egypt to Shishak the king and stayed until Solomon's death. Solomon's death. As for the other events of Solomon's reign, all he did and the wisdom he displayed, are they not written in the book of the Annals of Solomon? Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years. Then he rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son succeeded him as king. Israel rebels against Rehoboam. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had gone there to make him king. When Jeroboam, son of Nebat, heard this, he was still in Egypt, where he had fled from King Solomon. He returned from Egypt, so they sent the Jeroboam and he and the whole assembly of Israel went to Rehoboam and said to him, "Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but now lighten the harsh labor and the heavy yoke he put on us, and we will serve you." Rehoboam answered, "Go away from 3 days, and then come back to me." So the people went away. Then Kingdom Rehoboam consulted the elder who had served his father Solomon during his lifetime. "How would you advise me to answer these people?" he asked. They replied, "If today you will be a servant to these people and serve them and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your servant." But Rehoboam rejected the advice the elder gave him and consulted the young men who had grown up with him and were serving him. He asked them, "What is your advice? How should we answer these people who say to me, 'Lighten the yoke your father put on us'?" The young man who had grown up with him replied, "These people have said to you, 'Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but make our yoke lighter.' Now tell them, 'My little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father laid on you heavy yoke. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." 3 days later, Jeroboam and all the people returned to Rehoboam as the king had said. "Come back to me in 3 days." The king answered the people harshly, rejecting the advice given him by the elder. He followed the advice of the young man and said, "My father made your yoke heavy. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." So the king did not listen to the people, for the turn of events was from the Lord to fulfill the words the Lord had spoken to Jeroboam son of Nebat through Anijah the Shilonite. When all Israel saw the king refused to listen to them, they answered the king, "What share do we have in David? What part in Jesse's son? To your tent, Israel. Look after your own house, David." So the Israelites went home, but as for the Israelites who were living in towns of Judah, Rehoboam still ruled over them. King Rehoboam was sent out Adoniram, who was in charge of first level, but all Israel stoned him to death. King Rehoboam, however, managed to get into his chariot and escape to Jerusalem. So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. When all the Israelites heard that Jeroboam had returned, they sent and called him to assembly and made king over all Israel. Only the tribe of Judah remained loyal to the house of David. When Rehoboam arrived in Jerusalem in verse 3, all Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 every young men, to go to war against Israel and to regain the king for Rehoboam son of Solomon. But this word of God came to Shemaiah, the man of God, say to Rehoboam, son of Solomon, king of Judah, to all Judah and Benjamin, and to the rest of the people. This is what the Lord says. Do not go up to fight against your brothers or the elders, the Israelites. Go home, everyone of you, for this is my doing. So they obeyed the word of the Lord and went home again, as the Lord had ordered. Golden calves and Bethel and Dan. Then Jeroboam fortified Shechem in the hill country for Ephraim and lived there. From there he went out and built up Peniel. Jeroboam threw to himself the kingdom will now likely revert to the house of David. In this people go up to offer sacrifice at the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. They will again give their allegiance to their Lord. Rehoboam, king of Judah, they will kill me and return to King Rehoboam. After seek advice, the king made 2 golden calves. He said to the people, "It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here are your gods, Israel, who brought you out of Egypt." One he set up the vessel, and the other of Dan, and this thing became a sin. The people came to worship the one at Bethel and went as far as Dan to worship the other. Jeroboam built shrines on high places and appointed priests from all sorts of people, even though they were not Levites. He instituted a festival on the 15 days on of the 18 months, like the festival held in Judah, and offered sacrifice on the altar. This he did in Bethel, sacrificing to the calves he had made, and at Bethel he also installed priests or at the high place he had made. On the 5th day of the 18th month, a month of his own choosing, he ordered sacrifice on the altar he had built at Bethel. So he instituted the festival for the Israelites and went up to the altar to make offerings. The man of God from Judah. By the word of the Lord, a man of God came from Judah to Bethel, as Jeroboam was standing by the altar to make an offering. By the word of the Lord, he cried out against the altar, Altar. This is what the Lord says. A son named Joshua will be born to the house of David. On you he will sacrifice the priests of the high place who make offerings here, and human bones will be burned on you. The same day the man of God gave a sign. This is the sign the Lord, he declared. The altar will be split apart, and the ashes on it will be poured out. When King Jeroboam heard what the man of the God cried out against the altar at Bethel, he stretched out his hand from the altar and said, "Seize him." But the hands he stretched out toward the man shriveled up so that he could not pull it back. Also the altar was split apart and its ashes poured out according to the sign given by the man of God. They got by the word of the Lord. Then the king said to the man of God, "Intercede with the Lord your God and pray for me, that my hand may be restored, So the man of God interceded with the Lord, and the king's hands was restored and became as it was before. The king said to the man of God, "Come home with me for a meal, and I will give you a gift." But the man of God answered the king, "Even if you were to give me half your possessions, I would not go with you, but who I ear bread, ear load, eat bread or drink water here, for I was commanded by the word of the Lord. You must not eat bread to drink water or return by the way you came." So he took another load and did not return by the way he had come to Bethel. Now there was certain old prophet living in Bethel, whose son came and told him all that the man of God had done there that day. They also told their father what he had said to the king. Their father asked them, "Which way did he go?" His and his son showed him which road the man of God from Judah had taken. So he said to his sons, "Saddle the donkey for me." And when they had saddled the donkey for him, he mounted it and rode after the man of God. He found him sitting under the oak tree and asked, "Art you are the man of God who came to Judah?" "I am," he replied. So the prophet said to him, "Come home with me and eat." The man of God said, "I cannot turn back and go with you, nor can I eat bread or drinking water with you in the place. I have been told the word the Lord, you must not eat bread or drinking water." This word written by the way of Cain. The old prophet answered, "I too am a prophet, as you are." And an angel said to me by the word of the Lord, "Bring him back with you to your house so that he may eat bread and drink water." But he was lying to him. So man of God returned with him and ate and drank in his house. While they were sitting at the table, the word of the Lord came to the old prophet who had brought him back. He cried out to the man of God who had come from Judah, "This is what the Lord says. You have defied the word of the Lord and have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you, you came back and ate bread and drank water in the place where he told you not to eat or drink. Therefore, your body will not be buried in the tomb of your ancestors. When the man of God had finished eating and drinking, the prophet who had brought him back saddled his donkey for him. As he went on his way, a lion met him on the road and killed him. And his body was left lying on the road with both the donkey and lion, and the lion his standing beside it. Some people who passed by saw the body lying there with the lion standing beside the body, and they went and reported it in the city where the old prophet arrived. When the prophet who had brought him back from his journey heard on it, he said, "It is the man of God who defied the word of the Lord. The Lord has given him over to the lion, which his mauled him. The Lord has given him over to the lion, which with him and killed him, as the word of the Lord had warned him." The prophet said to his son, "Saddle the donkey for me." And they did so. Then he went out and found an fiery lions on the road, with the donkey and the lion standing beside it. The lion had neither eaten the body nor mauled the donkey. So the prophet picked up the body of the man of God, laid it on the donkey, and brought it back to his own city of mourn for him and buried him. Then he laid the body in his own tomb, and they mourned over him and said, "Alas, my brother." After burying him, he said to his son, "When I die, bury me in the grave where the man of God is buried. Lay my bone beside his bones, for the message declared by the word of the Lord against the altar in Bethel and against all the shrines on the high place in the towns of Samaria will certainly come true." Even after this, Jeroboam did not change his evil ways, but once more appointed priests for the high place from all sorts of people. Anyone who wanted to become a priest, he consecrated for the high place. This was the sin of the house of Jeroboam that led to its downfall and to its destruction from the face of the earth. Ahijah's prophecy against Jeroboam. At the time, Abijah, son of Jeroboam, became ill, and Jeroboam said to his wife, "Go, disguise yourself, so you won't be recognized as the wife of Jeroboam. Then go to Shiloh. Ahijah the prophet is there, the one who told me I would be king over these people. Take 10 loaves of bread with you, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you that what will happen to the boy." So Jeroboam's wife did what he said and went to Ahijah's house in Shiloh. Now Ahijah could not see. His sight was gone because of his age, but the Lord had told Ahijah, "Jeroboam's wife is coming to ask you about her son, for he is ill, and you are to give her such an answer as when she arrives, she will pretend to be someone else." So when Ahijah heard the sound of her footsteps at the door, he said, "Come in, wives of Jeroboam. Why this pretense? I have been sent to you with bad news. Go tell Jeroboam that the Lord, the God of Israel, says, I raised you up from among the people and appointed you ruler over my people Israel. I tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to you, but you have not been like my servant David, who kept my commands and followed me with all his heart, doing only what was right in my eyes. You have done more evil ever than all who lived before you. You have made for yourself other gods, either made of metal. You have aroused my anger and turned your back on me. Because of this, I am going to bring disaster on house of the Jeroboam. I will cut off from Jeroboam every last male in Israel, slave or free. I will burn up the house of Jeroboam as one burnt drink dung until it is all gone. Dog will eat those belonging to Jeroboam who die in the city, and the birds will feed on those who die in the country. The Lord has spoken. As for you, go back home. When you set foot in your city, the boy will die, or Israel will mourn for him and bury him. He is the only one belonging to Jeroboam who will be buried, because he is the only one in the house of Jeroboam in whom the Lord, the God of Israel, has found anything good." The Lord will raise up for himself a king over Israel. He will cut off the family of Jeroboam. Even now this is beginning to happen. In the water he will uproot Israel from the good land that thou gave to they arose to the Lord's anger might make Asherah false, and he will give Israel up because of the sins Jeroboam has committed and has caused Israel to commit. Then Jeroboam's wife got up and left and went to Tirzah as soon as the stopped over the threshold of the house. The boy died when buried him, and all Israel mourned for him as the Lord had said through his servant the prophet Ahijah. The other events of Jeroboam's reign, his words, and how he ruled are written in the book of the annual of the king of Israel. He reigned for 22 years and then rested with his ancestor, and Nadab his son succeeded him as king. Rehoboam, king of Judah. Rehoboam, son of Solomon, was king in Judah. He was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city the Lord had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, in whom which he put his name. His mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite. Judah did evil in the eyes of the Lord. By the sin they committed, they stirred up his jealous anger more than those who were before them had done. They also set up themselves high places, sacred stones, and Asherah for on every high hill and under every spreading tree. There were even male Syrian prostitutes in the land. The people engaged in all the detestable practices over the nations the Lord have driven out before the Israelites. In the 50 years of King Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, had attacked Jerusalem. He carried off the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasure of the royal palace. He took everything, including all the gold shield Solomon had made. So King Rehoboam made bronze shield to replace them and assigned this to the commanders of the guard of duty at the entrance to the royal palace. Whenever the king went to the Lord temple, the guard bore the shield, and afterward they returned them to the guardroom. As for the overall event of Rehoboam's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the king of Judah? There was continual warfare between Rehoboam and Jeroboam, and Rehoboam rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite, and Abijah, his son, succeeded him as king.